morning, agus céad míle fáilte. It's Sullivan's Farm, Sunday morning here again. I'm just walking over to the shed to give you a look around, and I thought I'd stop on the way just to show you what we're doing for the first couple of months of the winter, all going well. You can probably see it maybe in the background there somehow. That's our dwelling house in the background. It's about a 3-minute walk from the shed over. From there to the shed. We've had a nice supper rain last night and the last couple of days, so every place is greening up well, thankfully. We escaped most of the lack of grass and all that for the last few weeks, and that bit of rain now really helps us finish things out for the autumn. But all the rain in the world won't turn this field green again, and that's because it was sprayed off about a week ago now, before we'll set rapeseed in it and put weanlings out there for the winter. So I don't know if you can see the few bales over there, they're all lined up. The plan is to do something of a reseed on this field, or a full reseed, but part of that process started earlier this year, where we took 2 cuts of silage off the field, and the plan was that the silage would remove some of the weed seeds, the docks and the nettles from the weed seeds, or the weed seeds of those in the silage. So that's the first stage. Now, I suppose we could get into what's a weed and what's not a weed, but a simple definition for me is a weed, or a problem with weeds, is when you get too many clumps of them in the field. I don't mind the odd one here and there, that's only normal. But when they start to take over a particular patch of the field, that's when I'm trying to get rid of them then. So, as I said, the plan, first part, is to take the couple of cuts of silage. We'll set rapeseed on it now in the next week, and throw out a bit of fertiliser on it, and hopefully the weanlings will get 2 months on that up until Christmas, and we'll go in then and see where they'll spend the second 2 months of the winter, for hopefully January and February. It's getting a little bit late to set the rapeseed, but sure, look, we'll set it anyway, and we'll offer it up. We might say a decade of the rosary or something like that to help it along. It mightn't do any harm anyway. It would be like when we were all doing the leaving cert, and our mothers used to go to mass for us at 9:30 on the mornings of the exams to help us to study and do well in the exams. Sure, look, wasn't it a grand harmless kind of a pishogue of a thing to do? And if you know what a pishogue is, you might show you know it when in the comments below. But anyway, look, that's the first part of the winter, hopefully, for the the weanlings, and we'll go in now to the shed to see where they'll spend the second 2 months of the winter, all going well. So see you in a minute. Right, this is the old entrance, or the original entrance into the shed. Before the shed was built, the cows would walk in this way, or the tractor would drive in this way, down to this timber gate, and this was the entrance. But there's a new entrance now since we put up this shed a couple of weeks ago, and I'll show you that in a second. But this is where we used to walk in, and this is the yard. There's a couple of old cubicle sheds, and this then, you can see it with that light, and this then is the new shed. So we'll have a closer look. The walls, say the back wall of the new shed, used to be the side slab of an old silage slab years ago. There's the other side of it there, which is also doubling up as a side wall of that cubicle shed. There was obviously no waste years ago. Fellas got 2 and 3 jobs out of every single thing. So, but this, say when we were milking cows back in the day, this was where the silage slab was. Cows would obviously go into the cubicles there. Out here, they used to feed at the silage, and then we'd have a couple of round feeders in the yard as well. When we got rid of the cows then, God, just 20 years ago now, the silage slab essentially wasn't used at all, and I knew there was kind of something we could do with it. As your man in the video said years ago, it would be a wicked handy yard if we could only put a roof on it. So we eventually got around to putting a roof on it a few weeks ago. Got the concrete poured during the week. Our local man mixed it and poured it, and then We got that done. There's another fella has come to measure up for gates and internal barriers, or feed barriers I should say, and we won't be far off the mark then. We have water coming to the old cubicle sheds, so I'll just bring water over myself and set up a couple of water trucks in it. The plan is that there will be at least 2 if not 3 internal pens, so we can divide up cattle based on their size and their needs and all that kind of thing, and maybe depending on how many of them are in it, we might even be able to put the straw down at the very end, or the top one there, next year, but we'll see how it goes. So that's kind of the structure of it. It's 4 bays. We've put a few what's the nice name for them, transparent or see-through sheets at the back there to help with the light. The man putting up the shed recommended, or said he never puts those kind of sheets into the roof of any shed, just purely for safety reasons, in case anybody's ever up there and they come through them. And I didn't want to go down the route of having to put those safety cages underneath it, just to have a few sheets of see-through galvanized on the roof. So we left it as is. But I suppose that's the structure of it. There's not an awful lot more to it other than that. This side is deliberately open, very open, so we can get in with either a tractor or a loader to empty out the dung in the spring. But yeah, that's kind of the structure of it. So a bit of the thinking behind it and a few facts and figures then. We'll go into this is the second span of the shed, various bits and pieces. Organised, we'll call them organised around there. Pinches of straw, there's the door out into the first span that's slowly being closed after 20 years, but we'll get around to that little project too. Bits and pieces there for rearing calves, and this is where most of the straw is then inside in the third span, so we'll tell you why I think the straw might work for us here. Now, we have a very simple plan when it comes to straw, and what I'm hoping is that over time we'll be using more of the straw and less bought in fertiliser. The plan is to import the nutrients and the minerals we need in the form of straw rather than the bagged fertiliser. The straw, I think, will help with the smaller weanlings. It's better for their welfare and their thrive. And I think after that, then we'll have plenty dung to get back out onto the ground and to improve the soil slowly and dare I say organically over time, rather than in the bagged fertiliser. Like, I know where this straw came from. It came from a neighbour of ours, 300 yards over the road, whereas the fertiliser, God knows where it comes from and how the markets and all that kind of thing affect it. So I think overall straw is more sustainable for us, and it gives us more control as well over the inputs that go into the farm. So that's the theory. A little bit more work involved. Obviously you have to have some place to store it, or you have to do as some lads do and wrap it and store it then outside for the winter. And you have to unroll it, you have to get it into the shed, you have to get it out of the shed, and then you have to get some fella to spread it, or spread it yourself with a dung spreader out in the field too, whereas the bagged fertiliser is more straightforward. But look, we're trying to play the long game here and improve the soil in a more sustainable way, and you know, sustainable means nothing really these days apart from what it does to you as an individual. So that's our plan with the straw. I might have a very different story to tell you next year, but that's the theory at least, and we'll know about the reality next year. And obviously then we've square bales of straw for calves as well, which does a great job on them. So that's the theory behind the straw, and I suppose it ties in with trying to improve the soil out in the first field that we saw on the way in as well. Like the rapeseed will hopefully improve the soil structure. And we'll apply a bit more lime. We spread lime on it there last year, check the pH, so it needs another little bit, and just build it up slowly over time. I guess it's one of the things you learn to be patient when you're farming. Everything, a lot of what you do, I won't say everything, but a lot of what you do, it's only 12 months and years later you see the impact. So it's a bit of a guessing game, and it's a bit of a faith game. And maybe today's a religious kind of a thing when we're talking about the rosary and faith, but we'll see how it goes. The straw is there in place now, the shed is there in place. There's a nice €20,000 debt in place to pay for the shed. We'll pay it back over a couple of years to the credit union. They were the easiest to deal with, and yeah, that's kind of it. I suppose I said I'd talk about the figures in the shed, but sure, there's not much to talk about. The figures are it's €20,000 borrowed. We'll probably get it done for 22, including the internal gates and the feed barriers, and yeah, start paying it back then. Go from there. So thanks very much for watching this week. If you have any ideas or comments or opinions on straw, or the shed, or rapeseed, or decades of the rosary, or anything like that, I'd welcome them below. So thank you very much. Good luck.